Welcome back to the show. Yesterday, Shams and Chris Haynes reported that Kyrie had reached out to LeBron to see if he wanted to come to Dallas. The NBA equivalent of that 1 a.m. conversation with your buddy. Man, what if we opened our own bar? But today, Mark Stein reporting, quote, two sources close to the process, not Philadelphia's process, just regular process, insisted Monday that Irving had consistently expressed a desire to remain a Maverick and actually wants to shut down the notion that he's angling to get to L.A. Brew, your reaction.
All right, look, hear me out. All right, and you guys know, very few in the media like Kyrie more than me.
That is correct.
All right, I think he's a definite Hall of Famer and all of that. He's awesome.
You voted for him for MVP 8 years ago.
No, not all that. Not all that. But here, look, the Mavs have to really play this correctly because I think Nick was right when he said months ago that Kyrie going to Dallas could be the beginning of the end of Luka there, and that's definitely not what you want. All right, so they have to play this smart. There's no way I'm giving him a 5-year, $272 million max deal. I mean, that's what he's eligible for.
Yep.
That's what the reports are talking about. That's what he wants, all right? But the talk is that you have to give him a contract he's going to feel good about. And we get that because if you don't, who knows what kind of chaos could ensue. All right, so, I mean, I hate that, but it's real.
One of the reasons is an issue.
And here's the thing. What type of contract is going to make Kyrie happy? Probably 4 years max. If he can't get the 5,
with the
4 years max.
With the player option.
With the player. Or at the very least, and I'm not even sure this would cut it, 3 years max.
That's what I'm talking about. 3 plus 1.
Okay, you're saying 3 years. Okay, plus a fourth.
A fourth player option. That also lines up with Luka.
If I'm Dallas, I'm terrified.
Yeah, of course.
Of giving him a 3-year deal. Yeah. So here's what I do if I'm the Mavericks. All right, look, I let Kyrie go out on the market. See what you can get. All right, the teams that have money, Houston, Indiana, Detroit, San Antonio, Orlando, Oklahoma City, Utah, they're not likely to want him. All right, so Kyrie, can you bring us a sign and trade? If anybody wants him, we are open to doing a sign and trade. All right, if nobody wants him and the only teams that say the Lakers want him, but they only have a little bit of money to give him, you know, then all of a sudden our 1-year offer with a player or team option, maybe 2, max
1 year,
max 2 years. That starts to look good. Here's the benefit of a 1-year offer. Just like it was in Brooklyn, if he had stayed there. You play well, he had issues. You have no issues. Can we get through an 82-game season with no issues?
You can't.
If you do that though, now maybe we will talk to you about a longer-term deal. But I'm telling, look, and here's the thing, Nick. The last thing, everybody is saying, well, you can't just let him walk. Why not? Is he really that much of an asset if nobody will trade for him? And here's the thing. If they let him walk, Nick, they could be in position to have about $50 million in cap space in the summer of 2024.
Yeah, but that's another year with Luka wasted.
You know what, though? I'm looking at Jimmy Butler. I'm looking at Denver. I'm looking at Milwaukee. I'm looking at all these teams that don't really have a second star and seeing how far they get. Nick, let me ask you this. And this was your pick. Well, but you know what I mean. Yeah. This was your pick, Denver or Dallas in the West. Yeah. You really think that Luka Doncic is not looking at these playoffs and saying, I think he likes Kyrie. I don't think he's putting it all on Kyrie. But before Kyrie got there, they were tied for
saying
fifth.
We could have done damage.
It could have been me.
Absolutely.
I'm Luka with a bunch of people, or I'm Nikola with a bunch of people around me.
Yes.
If I'm Dallas, I would rather have the prospect of Luka and a bunch of role players, and then next summer we go get somebody.
I agree with all this.
Versus
but I don't think that
Kyrie there for 3 years, and God knows what is going to take place.
I totally agree with that if I'm Dallas. But the problem is the same people you're asking to think about that are the people who traded away a first-round pick and valuable role players for him so they could play 16 games together and then shut it down. So that's why I don't think they're going to do it. I think this Kyrie story, Wildes, is so fascinating because it involves so many people playing games. So the Haynes story is so interesting. Because it includes the line, Kyrie, who's eligible for 5 years, $272 million, which is, as I've said many times before, the bachelor party in Thailand thing. You float that out there, and then all of a sudden the bachelor party in Vegas doesn't sound so bad. You float that out there, and then it's like, oh, we got Kyrie, but we only had to give him 4 for 210, which is what he wants. That is the full. That is essentially the full max. But also in that story, that some camps think LeBron and Clutch leaked this. I do not believe that at all. It doesn't make sense. I think a lot of people believe Kyrie's camp had something to do with this. But in the story was something that had to come from the Mavericks, which is what the front office was or wasn't doing before they ever even acquired Kyrie, which was talk about trading for LeBron before someone reminded them literally can't trade for LeBron.
I don't understand.
No, but I can explain it to you now.
Okay, good.
That is the Mavs getting out there. Luka, we're trying everything, man.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What I'm saying?
No, I mean, you're reporting one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Why?
That they've like, Luka, we're trying everything.
We're trying everything.
We're even trying stuff that's not allowed. My goodness gracious.
Well, I'm saying, I think that was whispered in a reporter's ear to try to, again, get the narrative out there. The Mavs are doing everything they can to win right now, which is what Luka wants. Unfortunately, the internet then was like, literally can't, and it was like, okay, we kind of screwed up.
If I'm Luka,
but
if I'm sitting there and I'm Luka Doncic, and you brought to me, Luka, we tried to get LeBron. I'm like, you tried to trade for a player that wasn't eligible to be traded, and you think I'm going to look fondly upon not knowing the basic rules of trades.
I'm not saying that I think everyone in here is great at their respective responsibilities. But you have to look at why any of this stuff is coming out. And then we get to the last point. Why would Kyrie put any of this out there? Because Kyrie is trying to ingratiate himself to the Mavericks. You think about the bad things that happen if you get in the Kyrie business. The good things are, I will recruit for you. I am a very popular player. The best player of all time or the best player of our generation loves me. You guys sign me up long term. Maybe not this year, but I will continue to keep the option open of LeBron James one day joining your team. So that, to me, is Kyrie is trying to make himself look like a great teammate for the Dallas Mavericks. We already knew, Brew, he wanted to be a part of the plan in Brooklyn, right? That's what he told everybody. Again, I agree with your analysis of what they should do, but don't you think that's what's happening? That if this
I don't want to get into the mind of Kyrie Irving. Okay. All right, I'm gonna leave that alone. All right, but I do think he's trying to drum up leverage. And if I'm the Mavericks, I let him go out there and see what the market is.
What is the leverage he drums up by saying
it's
we want LeBron to come?
He thinks just what you just said is that he's trying to create some form of leverage and that I can recruit players. LeBron James at 40? I mean, look, LeBron's playing great, but still, at 40?
Bro, can I ask you another question? About your one-year deal, like the tryout, basically?
And he might be ticked off by it. But you know what? I'm not opposed to letting him walk, because what if you sign him up for 3 years and next year goes haywire?
So that's the
now
question.
You got him for 3 years and Luka's ticked off and Luka might want out.
Played 16 games. They went 5-11. Wasn't that enough of a sample size that it's not going to work?
Well, that plus Brooklyn and Boston, that's enough of a sample size. Yeah, and here's the other thing.
It started with no one likes Kyrie more than me.
No, I'm keeping it real. I'm trying to help the Mavericks. Look, all of the shenanigans off the court from Kyrie, that makes us not even discuss the fact that he's 31.
He's hurt all the time.
Injury prone.
All the time.
We don't even bring that up because of all the other stuff.
His entire career, dating back to college, injuries have been a problem.
They are playing with fire, man, because Luka Doncic, you have to keep him at all costs.
Right, but I think where I do think that actually works in Kyrie's favor in the short term is I do think Kyrie's approval rating amongst other NBA players is very high. Oh, yeah. And I think if Luka heard we got Kyrie 4 years at the max, I think Luka in the moment would be excited Just like KD.
Durant was excited. Harden was excited.
Exactly right.
Nash was excited.
I don't think it lasts. I don't know.
Joe
if Nash
Tsai was excited.
But yeah.
I could go on.
Listen, you're
Danny Ainge. I know, but I'm just keeping it real. It's unfortunate, man, because I think Kyrie is really has to look in the mirror and say, man, I am losing millions.
Well, yeah.
And I've always said later in his life, he may look back and say, I left a lot of meat on the bone in my career, as great as it was.
Yeah.
Because of all the other stuff.
New Jimmy Butler sound next and a fresh episode of Weird and Wonderful. Stay tuned.
It's one of the best.
It's one of the best episodes.
Is it going to be even longer?
Yes.
Gosh.
It's 8 plays. Not joking.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.